You're listening to XS Gaming Podcast, a podcast for gamers by gamers, with your hosts Xander Skullion and James Gruesome, bringing you something old, something new, and a little bit of nostalgia too.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of XS Gaming Podcast. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whichever time you guys are checking us out. This is episode 95, and we're recording this on the 10th of November. I'm one of your hosts, Xander Skullion, and joined with me is my wonderful co-host, Mr. James Gruesome. What's up, James?
Hello everybody. I know a lot of people out there are kind of sad and feeling down, and I feel your pain. I know the Ecto Cooler has gonna stop production in December, and I kind of bashed on it a little bit, but I fell into it, and it really was enjoyable. So let's just enjoy the good times we had with it, and maybe it'll come back again sometime in the future, and everything will be okay. But other than that, I hope y'all are having a great November. Time sure has really flown by. I know I'm not the only one that thinks this year is just zoomed, man. Like,
oh yeah.
Not too, just a little while ago, we were doing our Halloween episode, and man, like Thanksgiving is literally right around the corner. Just a super fast year, but not really that bad, man. I just, I've had good times along the way, so I hope you all are doing great.
Definitely. Yeah. Time has really flown by. I was actually thinking about that the other day. My sister was like asking me what me and my girlfriend were going to do for Thanksgiving. And I'm like, oh yeah, Thanksgiving's right around the corner. And I guess I'll use that as a segue to talk about our little gaming news that we have. I'll start first with, on GameSpot.com, Best Buy's 2016 Black Friday deals have been leaked and revealed. And of course, Black Friday, day after Thanksgiving.
Also a really cool Megadeth song.
Oh yeah. It's one of the biggest sales of the year, and there's some pretty good deals. I mean, I'm looking at it right now, and some of the deals include, for people that don't have an Xbox One, you can get the 1 terabyte Xbox One S for $299, and it comes with Battlefield 1. A couple other games are going to be dropping down to $20, including Doom, Pokemon X and Y, Street Fighter V, Mirror's Edge, Catalyst, Dark Souls 3, Fallout 4, Rainbow Six Surge, I believe that's what it's called. They're all going to be $20. Skyrim, the new remastered version, The Division, and No Man's Sky are going to be discounted to $25. That's crazy because Skyrim, the remastered, just came out.
That is pretty cheap. I mean, a lot of people would say No Man's Sky should probably be even cheaper, but lots of good deals. Like you said, with the that version at the $299, and I've seen some other ones with the 500 for $250. Just lots of good deals, and I think almost everywhere is having the new 3DS for $100, like flat, like almost every place. I think Target, Best Buy, Walmart. All three of the big stores are all going to have that. If you're looking into getting the new one, I mean, that's a pretty good price. Or if you've never had a 3DS, you really should pick one up because there's a lot of good stuff. That Black Friday, I've heard a lot of retailers were kind of cutting out on the Thanksgiving Day. I did see Best Buy is opening at 5 p.m. on Thanksgiving. So I don't know if that's their normal one. I'm sure some of the bigger stores are still into it, but I think a lot of the other people have kind of fought against that, rejected that. There's a lot of people that are just kind of like, why bother? And there's so many deals like online that
you got Cyber Monday afterwards.
I think too, like if you wanted to go out, I mean, most of the system stuff from what I've seen, like you can save $50. Game deals are really good. Controllers, $10-15 off. So it might not be as deadly to go out on those days as it has been, but for me, I would rather pass up, and I'd spend $50 not to be around all those people. But to each their own. And I mean, hey, I don't blame you if you're wanting to go out and get a deal. So check them out. And like I said, hopefully it's just not as bad out there as it has been in the past.
Yeah, and I will say for all the listeners that work retail, I do want to put a point that I will not shop on Thanksgiving. I'm one of those people that I don't want retail stores to be open on Thanksgiving. I feel like that's a day you should be with your family. And even if you don't have to go until like 5 o'clock in the afternoon, that's still just like, man, that sucks. So, continuing some of the deals, you were mentioning the 3DS. It's $100 for the new 3DS. It's a special edition Mario one, but you can also get the 2DS for $80. And some games have dropped down to 30, including Madden NFL 17, Battlefield 1, FIFA 17, Gears of War 4, Mafia 3, Destiny the Collection, Deus Ex Mankind Divided, Grand Theft Auto 5, and WWE 2K17 are all going to be discounted to $30, while Overwatch and Titanfall 2 will be discounted to $35. It's insane that these games are not just, games have been out for a while. Like, I'm glad Doom's finally going down to $20. I played Doom, I loved it, but I'm like, I'm going to get it when it's $20. So that makes sense. But some of these games, like, Battlefield 1 and Gears of War 4 and Mafia 3, they're really not old. Maybe like a month old?
Legitimately, new games came out in October. Same thing with WWE. This is actually the first year I haven't got, and from all I know, I think the WWE 2K17 came out on PS3, but I really wasn't keeping an eye out because I'm getting a PS4 this year, so I'm just gonna wait off for that. But I mean, a lot of these games like legitimately half off. That actually is a really good deal. I mean, to where it makes it a little bit more worth it to the people that go out. And I mean, snag those up. Mafia 3 is really excited about that. That's another one I'm looking forward to. Always love that series. So, the list of games that I want to play for the new system keeps stacking up. And I mean, for me, that's really cool. There actually is stuff out there that I'm still wanting to play. And by the time I end up playing it, it'll probably be cheaper still too. So,
well, speaking of that, because you still haven't gotten your PS4 yet, today is a very special day because today was the launch of the PS4 Pro console. Now, this is the new PS4. Of course, we had the PS4 Slim, which is a slimmer model, but this is the big daddy PS4. This is the Pro. This is the one that has boosted power. It can up convert to 4K. It doesn't have 4K gaming, but they did say that all your accessories, all your games will be able to be patched and work with the PS4 for better resolution and frame rate. And it's going to be $400. Of course, I think the Slim is $350, and I'm not sure what the PS4 is. I think the PS4 is probably like maybe $250, $300 maybe.
Could probably drop down. I want to say and I don't even know the Slims. I think actually the Slims at this time, the 500 gig, I think are $3, because a lot of the sales had them at $250. And like I said, we were talking before the show about the terabyte Slim that we've heard about, because I'm predicting that one to be at the mid range of $350. But like I said, during these Black Christmas or Black Friday, Black Christmas, that's pretty cool horror movie. The Black Friday sales, with the $250 for a lot of these, save $50 off of these, just a really great deal. But the Pro, it just came out. I'm more than likely gonna go with that one. Just mine's kind of like a why not, because it's gonna either be I'm mainly looking for the terabyte personally. I don't have a 4K TV. I really don't know when I would ever be getting one, and I've heard too, like, it doesn't have a 4K Blu-ray player, which some people have kind of questioned, but it mainly has to do with Sony kind of believing in a downfall of the physical disc and more emphasis on streaming. But still, in the long run too, I was like, man, the 4K is still just kind of like just there. You kind of think they would have went ahead and gone with that too.
But it's interesting because the Xbox One S has a 4K Blu-ray player, which Blu-ray was started from Sony. So it's kind of funny to see Sony not have a 4K Blu-ray player when they were the guys behind it. It is interesting. Now, I will say Sony has released a how-to that shows you how to get the best quality from your PS4 Pro. And as previously explained, you need a 4K TV to see the full benefits of the PS4 Pro. but the console also supports 1080p sets and offers some improvements there as well. So, I mean, for someone who doesn't have a PS4 and you got the extra money, why, like James said, why not? I mean, if you're going to get a PS4, you might as well just get the best one on the market.
One of the biggest draws, like I said, is that hard drive.
Yeah,
because you can go for the 500, and yeah, you can get a good deal. You can save down, especially with these weekend sales. Up to like $150, which is a considerable amount of money. Nobody would shake that off. But you look in the long run, and I think of issues I ran into with my PS3 as far as running out of space, the emphasis on downloading these so many download titles, and just the fact of having to install so many of these games. In the long run, that's what I look at, is the hard drive space. And two, in the long run, like I said, we can bring up the fact with the 4K, and you never know, those might become more commonplace than we think. And, everybody could have one in the next few years. Who really knows, but at least you have some choices out there, with the different price ranges, because $150, man, that can go to quite a few more games or accessories, or, a third of the price on one of the VR units. Who knows what you're into, but at least, there are some deals and choices out there for you to look into, and just kind of think about what's the best package for you to get.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I'm hoping it does well, because for the past, I think, 4 months now, the Xbox One has outsold the PS4. Now, mainly, a lot of it's been the S model. The S models, it does a lot of improvements, not just cosmetically, but a lot of improvements that the Xbox One previously failed on. I mean, some of the big things would be like the power brick. It doesn't have that anymore. It has a physical button to turn on and off. And, I mean, those may sound trivial to some people, but that's kind of a big deal for some as well, because, that extra physical button is nice. And, of course, the power brick leaves you more room behind your entertainment center, because, I mean, that thing's huge. So, we'll see how the holidays go. Speaking of holidays, one company that I'm kind of concerned about is Nintendo. Now, previous listeners and longtime listeners know that I'm a big Nintendo fan, and I've even been labeled as a Nintendo fanboy. I'm not going to lie. Some people's like, man, Xander loves Nintendo.
Fanboy.
But the thing is Nintendo is doing some things that I'm very worried about. First off, of course, we got the Nintendo Plug and Play coming out very soon, this month. I believe it comes out the 20th.
Wait, no, it comes out on Friday.
Oh, wow, it comes out on Friday.
Yes. And
the problem is there's already been reports of retail stores like Walmart getting 6 of them.
And I'd heard about the GameStop getting maybe a dozen at the most. And for those looking for the online, if you want to jump on it, I did hear Amazon will be selling them at 2 p.m. I'm going to presume Eastern Standard Time. If you hear this before then, check up on it. But 2 p.m., you jump on. Maybe there's a chance you can get it, because nobody's really had the pre-orders. I mean, I guess maybe some places did, because some people are selling pre-orders on eBay. I think we've talked about before. I'd heard Target had like 1 day, I think, where they might have had some pre-orders. It's been as much, and there's a lot of people hyped about this and excited. It's one of those things that, like you said, if you're that hardcore collector, it's maybe not for you. It's one of those casual things, but everybody's interested in it. Everybody wants one. And, we'd really like to see everybody that wants one be able to get it. So hopefully they're out there, because Nintendo really, really needs to step up. Make sure these are there. Don't let that money go to the scalpers, because we all know they will be there. It's a high demand product. I hope you guys know that. Nintendo, I'm sure you're listening, but just put a lot of those out there for the people to get, because I'm excited that people are excited about this. Me personally, I'm not going to snag one right away. I opted for another system. Briefly, we'll talk about the Retrobit Generations that came out. Actually, it's hitting today, I think. I did a pre-order the other day. I opted for that. because I don't know, that one's just crazy. You know, it's like 100 games. It's a mixture. I don't know, some arcade, some console, Game Boy, everything. Like that was just my pick. It's kind of flown under the radar. But it's a really cool system. And like I said, I was telling Xander before the show, I'm kind of hoping maybe mine will show up this weekend since I did the pre-order. But you know, you got some choices of some different ones to get. But I just, with the Nintendo one, I just really, really hope these things we hear about, you know, low availability are not true, and there ends up being more, because these things will sell.
They will, and I mean, I don't want it to be another Amiibo scenario. I don't want it to be another Wii scenario. And this is why this plug and play is so important, in my opinion. It's because other than the plug and play, Nintendo really doesn't have anything that they're selling this holiday season. I mean, they have the Wii U, which I have to report that today it's been confirmed. They said it wasn't, then they said it is, and now it's confirmed that production is scheduled to end soon in Japan for the Wii U, which Nintendo denied it. Then it came out again, then they denied it, and now they're finally saying that they're going to be slowing down production in Japan, which anyone with, you know, basic motor skills would know that when the Nintendo Switch coming out, that a Wii U be slowly put to rest. And it's sad because I do like the Wii U, and I do recommend the Wii U to people who don't have one. But the thing is like, other than the Wii U and this plug and play, I mean, there's really nothing else they have to offer for the holiday compared to the PS4 and Xbox One. So that's really, really disheartening. Now, I do have one thing pre-ordered. It's not the Nintendo plug and play. I actually have the Famicom plug and play from Japan. I just got a notification from Amazon Japan. They're going to be shipping it soon. I won't get it till December, unfortunately, just because it's in Japan. But it looks like the Famicom. It doesn't look like the Nintendo. And it comes with some different games, including instead of Double Dragon 2, it comes with like River City Ransom and stuff like that. And I mean, it was only $66, and I was like, why not?
You know, both of these to me are just really cool. You know, like they said, they're not aimed towards the collector in a sense, but they kind of are. Just because I think with the look, you know, the things that look so cool, like the Famicom, a lot of us, you know, don't have an actual Famicom, and to have like a slight smaller recreation of it, it's just really cool looking. And I think with that one that I did here, it does have like really tiny controllers, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I'm wondering. Well, I got confirmation from my friend John Riggs off of YouTube. He told me that unfortunately the Famicom Mini won't support the microphone, which if some of you guys didn't know, the original Famicom actually had a microphone built into it, and you could do stuff like blow into it and fight enemies in like the original Legend of Zelda. Unfortunately, it's not going to have that. I'm pretty sure the controllers are going to be wired into the console just like the normal Famicom, but I've always liked the way the Famicom looked, like cosmetically. I always thought it looked really nice, so I thought, you know, this would be something a little different, something I can do an unboxing of, and because I know there's going to be like 1.5 million unboxings of the Mini NES, and I'm like, I'm going to be the different guy and do the Famicom.
Yeah, it is just really cool. I saw a post from some of my friends on Facebook, and I saw some that were some more casual fans, I would say, and I saw them mentioning about the NES Mini, and I saw one chick in particular was talking about she wanted to get 4, 1 for her and 3 for her kids, and I thought it was kind of funny with hearing all these, you know, mentions of shortages and what might not be available. I was just thinking, man, like, good luck, lady. You know,
yeah,
like,
it's sad. It's sad because there are people out there that are excited, and the casual people. This is what it's for. This is nostalgia in a small little box that, you know, you could give somebody for Christmas, and they can relive, you know, maybe a Christmas they had, you know, 30 years ago when they were a kid, and they were in their Transformers PJs, and they unwrapped their NES, and now they don't have an NES anymore, and they can get something like this and relive those moments. That's who it's for. It's not, I mean, and of course, you know, people that do collect will want one, but, you know, of course, we've always had people be like, oh, I got emulation, I have a Raspberry Pi. I'm like, that's awesome, but that's not who it's for. It's for just normal Tom that just wants to play Super Mario.
You get those voices from the ones who are like, I have all of these, and it's like, yeah, a lot of people do, and it's for me, I've mentioned before that it's like, not everybody has a Nintendo and a couple hundred games. We kind of think, because a lot of people, like just in our group and people we know do, it's very commonplace, but for so many it's not. And I do want those people to have that joy. Imagine a lot of like younger kids that could wake up. Think of that. How many years later on kids could wake up, in a sense, and experience getting a Nintendo for Christmas? And I mean, you could be like, oh, kids won't appreciate and blah. And hey, you don't know. They might very well. I just hope anybody that wants one of these is able to get one for themselves, their family, their kids. It's one of those cool gifts you could just, get for somebody. And, you'd have to think almost anybody would appreciate having this. It's just really cool. And, I hope they're out there. I hope all these rumors are just rumors and they are readily available.
Yeah, now speaking of plug and plays, because, we mentioned the Retro Bit is coming out what is it, tomorrow? It's coming out?
Today, I think.
Today. The Retro Bit and the Nintendo plug and play. Now, of course, Sega has stepped into the plug and play market, and I'm not talking about the Fire Core. There's been a plug and play that has a cartridge slot that's been out for years that became very popular when Nintendo mentioned the Mini. They were like, Sega's getting into the console market too.
All the at-games models.
Yeah, it's not that. This is something that is going to be in Brazil. And it looks like a direct replica of the Sega Genesis is officially licensed from Sega. And it's put up by Tactoy. They're taking pre-orders now. Unfortunately, they will not ship internationally. It's going to be 399 Brazilian currency, and it converts to $123 US currency. Now, here's the interesting thing about it. It will not have an HDMI. It will have an SD card reader, but it's going to be a little bit more retro than the NES plug and play. And the reason why is they said a lot of people in Brazil, they don't have TVs with HDMI. That's just the way it is.
That's what I was thinking when you said that. I was like, people down there probably don't have those, so why bother, putting it as part of the system?
Now the Tectoy, they're the same guys that made the Sega Master System 3 that came out a couple of years ago. Now, some of the games that are going to be packed into it, here's a full list. Bear with me. It's Alex Kidd and the Enchanted Castle, Alien Storm, Altered Beast, Arrow Flash, Bonanza Brothers, Columns, Decap Attack, eSWAT, Fatal Labyrinth, Flicky, Gain Ground, Golden Axe 1, 2, and 3. Actually, Golden Axe 1 and 3, not even 2. Jewel Master, Kid Chameleon, Last Battle, Outrunners, Sega Soccer, Shadow Dancer, Shinobi 3, Sonic 3, and Turbo Outrun. So, I mean, it's got a good selection of games. I thought it was kind of interesting that the only Sonic game it has is Sonic 3. You'd think it would be Sonic 2.
Wow, I would think it would have them all on there,
Yeah, but it does. But then again, it does have the SD card reader, so I'm pretty sure that you'll be able to put ROMs on it and play it like that as well. So I think it's cool. It looks exactly like a Sega Model 1. It is what it is. Unfortunately, like I said, they're not shipping internationally, but just wait. People are going to buy it and sell it on eBay.
Some way they'll be out there and people will be able to get them. That one. And that is a good collection of games. That's a lot of the same games that you would find on the games, that put out the clone systems here. Your Super Sonic, Sega Genesis collections. You see a lot of the same titles, and that one, for a plug and play. Even though it is a little bit more like a legitimate system with the actual guts. Like I hear of a real Genesis, that is still a little bit pricey for me. Probably for a lot of people, $120. We're used to these costing, an average of the Retro Bit, the NES Mini is $60. a lot of those flashback systems, when they do initially come out, they're $52, but checking around for those good deals and stuff around Christmas time, your Dollar Generals and such will have them for, I mean, I bought quite a few of the Coleco ones, like for you and my brother EJ, that were like 15 to 20 bucks. So just that 120 price tag is kind of harsh.
Indeed. Now, we're running a little bit short on time, guys. What we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break, like we usually do. And when we come back, we're going to be talking about Treasure, a very awesome video game company that it's one of those companies that I mentioned it to someone. I was like, yeah, we're going to do an episode on Treasure. And they were like, I'm not familiar with Treasure. But when I started mentioning the games, they're like, holy crap, I love this company. So sit back, relax, guys. We're going to talk about some of our favorite games from this company, some little bit of history, and we'll be right back. And we are back, guys, and today we're going to be talking about Treasure. Now, Treasure is actually still a very small company out of Japan. They were founded in June 19th, 1992, so they're 24 years old, and they still have just about 20 to 30 employees that work for the company. And what's really interesting is Treasure actually started out from ex-members of Konami. And you can definitely see that influence with games like Gunstar Heroes and stuff like that. Now, I want to pass it over to you, James, and ask you not just a question about Treasure, but when was the first time that you realized a certain company made a plethora of games that you really enjoy? When was that fact that you were just like, oh, this company makes all these games and I love it? What company was that, by the way?
Oh, I mean, if I had to pick one of those, that would have had to have been Capcom or Konami.
Mm-hmm.
Both of those stemming from, back when I was a child, because we mentioned before, those were companies for almost, 90-something% of the part. You could understand that if you saw a game with that label, you knew it would be good. And even back then, I didn't really understand the Ultra. I kind of learned that somehow along the way. And I would say with Treasure, I didn't even really understand, what Treasure was till way later on in life. After I was already, collecting. It would probably, actually only be like 10, or so maybe years ago. Probably when I fully learned of Treasure, just because I didn't play the most of theirs. But with all those other ones, like I said, Konami, Capcom, just so many, you just understood if that was on there, it was going to be worth it. It's like you knew you wouldn't get stuck with a stinker. Maybe Top Gun was kind of whack, but other than that, and Bayou Billy, but hey, everybody's got a couple of crap ones. But you could get those and, know you were getting something good, and that does kind of lean its way to Treasure, because I think for the most part with their games, anyone you get of theirs, it's going to be pretty good.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned Bayou Billy, because I do have to mention one thing, and I think you can agree. Bayou Billy is that one game that whenever you see an NES slot or someone selling an NES collection, Bayou Billy always ends up being in that collection. You notice that?
You can't get away from it, and I mean,
No.
it is a very, like, when you look at it, it's a game that has, driving. It has your, kind of side-scrolling beat 'em up. It has light gun capability. It had so much to it. Even like it's, music is kind of memorable. It's really one of those games. I think if you play when you're younger, it's just really kind of hard. And you grow up some, and then it sucks. But then you play it some more, and you kind of appreciate it for what it was trying to do, or what it could have been. I've heard the Famicom one, Mad City, is a little easier, and maybe it is one of those games if it just wasn't quite like so tough. I think it really could have been, something really good as compared to just an annoyance to what so many people think of it as, like the bad Konami game.
Yeah, now Treasure was best known in the early days for working with Sega. I mean, they did games like, of course, like Gunstar Heroes, which here's a little tidbit right here. Gunstar Heroes actually was one of the earlier games that offered a pre-order bonus. If you pre-ordered Gunstar Heroes in certain retail stores, you actually got a fruit roll-up, which I don't think... I wonder if anyone out there has that fruit roll-up.
I'm sure somebody does. I hate fruit roll-ups. I would have been disappointed. It's like eating skin. I don't know.
Good old fruit leather. But, of course, the Gunstar Heroes. Then McDonald's Treasureland Adventure. It's actually a really good game. I mean, you hear it's McDonald's, you're like, man, this is probably a budget title. But it was actually a really good platformer. Dynamite Heady. Alien Soldier, which is going to be on that plug and play we were talking about earlier, the new Sega Genesis plug and play. Dynamite Heady's on it, and Dynamite Heady is really funny because the American version is actually harder than the Japanese version. That was a really tough game, but it had a very interesting graphic style. It was kind of sometimes it felt like you were on a play or something when you'd had that boss battle with the cat. You remember that?
Yes, you were pretty much kind of in a puppet show. And, I was actually playing this one a bit earlier today, and I hadn't played as much as I thought I had. Very unique. A lot of Treasure games will have a unique function, like you mentioned with the Ronald McDonald Treasure Island game or whatever it was. You might think of McDonald's, you think of McKids. So McKids was, not very good. This one, yeah, it's like you don't want to be let off by the title just because Ronald's in it, and everybody hates clowns now. Poor Ronald can't catch a break. But the man, or the clown, he has a really good game, and it has that unique, function. It kind of reminds me of Dynamite Heady on some of the parts where you grab these little fruit-looking things with your head, and you kind of are able to jump up to a new level. It's kind of a grappling hook in a sense. Dynamite Heady, along with that, ways you have the different heads you can get, hammers, different things like that, and each level is kind of maze-like. And one of the craziest parts, I remember I was playing it, and the platform you're on turns, kind of like it turns towards the screen like you would just fall down and drop off, which you will if you don't kind of maintain your footing. It's a very, I don't really remember seeing too many stages like that in platform games that just kind of, almost have like a 3D-ness to it is the best way to describe it for being in a completely 2D game. I imagine like some of the Mario titles have done something a little bit similar too. But it gave you that feeling, like, I was like, man, I think I'm going to fall off. And, like, I did. You could shrink really small. That was another really cool part, too. Kind of going through the little pipes. Like I said, each level's very maze-like. There's different areas you could go to collect different bonuses. It is one of those really cool, unique titles. And it's one, I thought I had played more than I did, but I think I'd gotten it mixed up with another one. But it's definitely worth checking out. Alien Soldier that you mentioned That's
That
one
was a good one.
Yeah, we didn't get that here. It was only available later on, and I'd gotten it mixed up. It's kind of easy to see how it happens with Alien Storm, another popular Genesis title. I guess it was just the alien in the game, and I was playing it because I remember trying to get some trophies. I was like, is this on a compilation? And I was playing Alien Soldier, earlier this week, and I was like, this is not what I was thinking of. But it's kind of easy, like I said, with all the alien names and the titles. But Alien Soldier, really cool. It's got the boss battles that seem to come up a little bit more prominent, a little bit more earlier. The stages are a little bit shorter, but you run into these bosses. You can hang on the ceiling. You've got some different cool like block and kind of like reflect attack back moves. You can kind of fly around a bit. You got your weapon select. You can pick out from, I think, 4 different types of guns at the beginning that you can switch between. It's just a lot of stuff going on. That's the thing with like Treasure. It's like they all have that kind of like unique style. There's something to it, and it kind of makes you think a little bit more. But once you get your buttons set up right and you get it down, it becomes a little bit more natural. But they really do with all of them. They have a lot of stuff going on. Gunstar Heroes. It's like you can hang on things, jump up, flip around. You can throw enemies. It kind of has that Contra feel, but it kind of has a graphic look that I could say it's a little bit more akin to what's the Metal Slug.
Yeah, Alien Soldier. I always remember that game because of the guy you play as. He's like a weird bird creature, and unfortunately, that game never came out to the States. You can get a reproduction of it really, really simply. And another Treasure game that I do have to mention, actually it's 2 that I really like, but they're related, is Radiant Silvergun and Ikaruga. Radiant Silvergun was on the Sega Saturn, and of course Ikaruga was on the Dreamcast, and you can get those now on the Xbox 360 arcade. But those were excellent bullet hell shooters.
Definitely. Ikaruga also on the GameCube was the first time I played it.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And that might have been my first actual time when I was like, oh, this is like Treasure made this. I think that was the first time. Just very cool. We probably mentioned it before when we were talking about more like the shoot 'em ups or bullet hell.
Oh, yeah.
It has that unique function of switching like your shields between the like red and blue, I believe, to where it's like you can take the red shots but not the blue, and you switch back and forth. It's kind of one of those games you just kind of let yourself go and just kind of get in that zen moment of switching back and forth between the different ones at the right time. They kept their relationship, like you mentioned. We were talking with Sega earlier, and another really good title there was Guardian Heroes.
Oh, dude, you beat me to it. I was just about to mention that. Just because Guardian Heroes, I've played it in the past and stuff, but that's one of those games I'm kind of nostalgic. When you and I first started the podcast and started really talking about retro games, that was a game that we talked about, and I remember you sold Devin sold his copy of Guardian Heroes to you, right?
Yeah.
Yes, right. Yeah.
That was where I first got it from, and it was one I had saved, and I actually played on a Christmas morning just for something different to do. I waited. I probably kept it for like a month or 2.
Yeah, because I think that was a Halloween show that we were playing in Fayetteville at the Rock Shop. We met up with you and Liz, and you got Devin's Guardian Heroes. And then later on, he actually gave me that Saturn that Christmas. So that's kind of cool.
It is a really cool game. I'd always heard about it. It kind of reminds me a little bit more of the D&D games as far as they have that slight RPG element with like the leveling up. And this one had the different planes. Sometimes you could just smoothly go like up and down, but this one had one of the buttons you'd hit, and you had 3 planes you could jump on and get into the attacks. Just so many characters on screen at one time. As you went through, you could play as some of the enemy characters. You could have up to 7 people at one time playing on this, which it's just insane, I think. I mean, other than, games nowadays with people online, that was a little bit unheard of, other than maybe like a Bomberman game.
Yeah, it was kind of made me think of another game that makes me kind of think of about jumping from plane to plane was kind of like Fatal Fury.
Yeah.
That was probably the first game I played that you could actually do that, but doing that in Guardian Heroes added more strategy to it, which really complemented the action RPG elements it had. And one thing that I can say about Treasure is Treasure has always been known to make really good, like, hand-drawn sprite graphics. And Guardian Heroes, I mean, if you guys get a chance to play it on Xbox Live, play the HD version of it.
It's like $5 on there.
It is so beautiful, man. And it really reminds you of why the Sega Saturn was more of a 2D console than a 3D. Like, when you see games like Guardian Heroes, you're like, man, why didn't we get more of this stuff over here? I mean, screw the polygons. I like this.
Man.
That was a good game. Also, Bengayo on the Dreamcast was another Treasure hitter. And it was like this really interesting mech game. I had a lot of fun playing that one.
So I know that came out on the 64, also in Japan only. And I think there was a GBA version. And it's one that not that I can think of that I've played it before. I think that one just kind of flew from under me. And I've heard nothing but really good things about it. One game I found interesting they made, I didn't know about on the PS2 in Japan. It was a sequel to Sylphid from the Sega CD.
Mm-hmm.
And Treasure made that one.
Oh, yeah, The Lost Planet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really loved that game on the Sega CD. That was one game that kind of mixed the 2D and 3D polygons and made it work.
Yeah, it's and another one too that I don't hear a lot about, but I really enjoyed, and it was another one. I think I'd found it. It was like in the box. It was a Super NES game, and actually no, I'm sorry. It's Genesis. What am I talking about? Super NES. The box threw me off, I think, because it was one of the cardboard ones. But it's a game I've found twice, in the box, and had given it away to a friend the first time. But it's called Light Crusader. It's a very, best way to put it is a Zelda type game, but it has that isometric view. It's it's better, I think, than Landstalker, because that's another one that also is kind of Zelda-like, but it has a little bit too much platforming that is irritating, and you just die a lot. Anytime you get the isometric view, some people just hate it, and I don't fault anybody for not liking it. But if you're okay with that and you like the kind of action RPG games, and you're looking for one on the Genesis, give it a try. Because like we say, it's Treasure. Pretty sure it's gonna be pretty good. And it's one I just really like. It's like you got your town environments, your dungeons, your little quest you go on. It is kind of like the same old story, but it's just a different story in a sense with that different view. And it does have a jump function, but like I said, it's not as much platforming as the other one that I just mentioned that slips my mind right now.
Landstalker?
Yes, Landstalker. It's no way near as irritating as that. It's very cool. It's pretty easy to find. I found it twice, like complete. It's not an expensive game because, some of the Treasure ones do hold the price. Your Ikarugas, Guardian Heroes, it's another one of the more expensive Saturn titles, or sometimes they're just not available over here, like Alien Soldier.
Yeah, and of course, they have had games published by Nintendo. I know we've been talking a lot about Sega, but, they also did Mischief Makers on the N64, which is a really, really good platformer. Wario World. I love the Wario games. And if you're a big fan of the Wario Land games on the Game Boy, the Wario World is like that, but, on console. And it looks beautiful. It's aged really well. Sin and Punishment on the N64. Unfortunately, we didn't get that over in the States on the N64, but we did get the sequel, Star Successor, on the Nintendo Wii. And let me tell you, if you want to play a really fun game that's on rails, Sin and Punishment on the Wii is a definite must-have, and it's actually really cheap, too.
Yeah, it's one I remember I picked up. I mean, it plays great, with you got your Wiimote and your Chuck. It's not motion control, but you can just kind of, I've talked about before with that controller, you can just kind of sit back and, hold your hands how you want. Got that on rails and you're just shooting. It's just, man, it was really fun. It was a really awesome game when I finally played it. And I've got the 64 version I downloaded off of the Wii Shop because they got that one available on there too. And they're both really good. But like you said, the Wii one, it is cheap. It's probably one of those games that's like $10 or so. And definitely worth playing. And one of my favorite ones of theirs was just a little odd one I picked up one time for the GBA, Astro Boy.
Oh, yeah. I did a Let's Play of that, and I didn't know about Astro Boy on the Game Boy Advance until I watched a Pete Dorr video. And he talked about it. It was like one of his pickups videos. He talked about it and he said how great it was. And then I watched Metal Jesus Rocks and they did like the Game Boy Advance Hidden Gems video. And he showed Astro Boy. And man, yeah, it's such a great platformer. And the thing about a lot of treasure games on the Game Boy Advance, because you had Astro Boy, you also had another Guardian Heroes on the Game Boy Advance, another sequel to Gunstar Heroes, and I think you'll agree with me is the Game Boy Advance games made by Treasure didn't feel like handheld games. They didn't feel watered down. They felt like they put a lot of thought and love into making those games, and maybe it's because of the small team that works with these games, like 20 to 30 people, which to some people that may sound like a big team, but in today's market that's really small, and maybe with that small team they can put more into it. But yeah, that Astro Boy was awesome.
It seems like they've always had a good group from what I read about them. Sometimes they don't necessarily have like main directors of games. You could have somebody that's a little bit more focused on it, but everybody, whether it's your programmers, your artists, your composers, like everybody does something on all of the games, as a team effort, which was, just really cool. But the Astro Boy is, I think if you're into Mega Man games, it's so worth checking out. I managed to just buy it. It was probably one of those games that was like on sale because I remember buying it new. And it was probably like $20, and I was just like, this looks cool. I can't remember, maybe I read something about it, but I got it, and I mean, it's just, man, I don't know, it was just amazing. There was so many different weapons, he's shooting stuff out of his ass. It's funny. Yeah. I don't know a whole lot about Astro Boy, like I don't watch the anime, but I just know that this game, you might be put off, like, Astro Boy, I don't want to play that crap. No, play it. It's like I said, it's along the lines of the Mega Man. If you're a fan of that type of game, it's so worth playing. The Guardian Heroes and the Gunstar Heroes that are on there are also, they're really good. They're kind of pseudo sequel remakes, kind of influenced by. So you get a lot of throwbacks to the old ones. And that was the first time I'd played Guardian Heroes, in a sense, was just on there, because the other one being only on Saturn, and not having a Saturn, and it being typically like hard to get. That version is still wow. No, it's not as good as the Saturn original. It's still really fun, and most of these from when I'd got them like a while back, none of them were like super crazy expensive. You get some of the treasure games are kind of crazy in price, but a lot of them, you can really get for a fair amount, and they're really worth it.
Yeah, and I do have to mention, and I'm pretty much mentioning this because I just saw it on the page, and this is also one of my favorite. It is my favorite anime of all time. I made that official because I started rewatching it with my girlfriend. And I'm like, this is my favorite anime of all time. But Treasure on the Game Boy Advance made a Hajime no Ippo, the fighting game, on the Game Boy Advance. It's, of course, Hajime no Ippo, for you guys that are listening that haven't watched it, you should. It's a really awesome boxing anime with great character development. But they made the game on the Game Boy Advance. Now, it wasn't released in the States. You have to import it or get a reproduction. I've played it on emulation. It's really hard, but it's still, if you're a big fan of games like Punch-Out, definitely check out Hajime no Ippo
That's
the
cool.
Fighting.
I didn't know about that one because, well, I know you're a fan of the anime. I've been a fan of just the games because they were ones I randomly picked up a long time ago on PS2, the Victorious Boxers
Yes.
series. I picked it up and just really, other than Punch Out and a couple other portable ones like the Wade, somebody's Counterpunch. Yeah, I've run into some ones I've enjoyed. I always like Ring King. But this was one of the boxing games that was just, I don't know, it was an odd one I picked up. I saw something about somebody fighting a bear and tried it out. And it just really kind of captured me. I really enjoyed playing it. You kind of get behind the character, kind of like you did with Little Mac, even though, it doesn't necessarily play like Punch-Out. But it was able to grab me. And it was a series that anytime I've seen one of their games, I've picked it up, and I still keep meaning after you tell me how good like the anime was to actually check that out, because I figure since I enjoyed the game so much, like I'm bound to dig the anime.
Oh, dude, you'd love the anime. And I'm probably going to do a video very soon just gushing about it. And they did Hajime no Ippo. They did almost do a Tiny Toons Adventures Defenders of the Universe. It got canceled. Also, there was a Tiny Toons sports game they were working on that unfortunately got canceled as well. But yeah, I'm looking at their collection of games. They haven't made, in the past like 20 years or so, they haven't made a whole lot of games, but what they have made has been it's been golden, and I'm hoping that, after you guys listen to this episode, you guys go back and check out some of these games we mentioned, because they're awesome. And like James said, not all of them are really expensive. Of course, Gunstar Heroes is going up there, but games like Bengayo on the Dreamcast, Ikaruga on the GameCube surprisingly has went down in value a lot, and that's not a hard game. Also, a lot of these games you can download on PSN and Xbox Arcade, including, Gunstar Heroes, Radiant Silvergun, Guardian Heroes. A lot of those games are on the marketplace, and, they're about, at the most, maybe $10, And
I know Dynamite Heady is one of the ones that it's on the Sonic Super Sega Spectacular Collection on PS3 and Xbox, and that's when you can get on there. But like I said, there are out there ways to play, like Sin and Punishment. If you want the 64 one, the Japanese one, it's like 10, maybe $12 on the Wii Shop. And then, the other one, like I said, you can get, the disc version of Sin and Punishment on Wii, which is outstanding. Like it's somewhere between 10 and 15. And, these guys did have such, I don't even know if we mentioned right at the very beginning how so many of the guys had worked for Konami previously.
Yeah, we did mention that.
And you think of a lot of the guys that worked on Contra, Super C, Super Castlevania 4, Contra 3, and even Bucky O'Hare, which I love a whole lot. And they kind of went into that and did their own thing. And I thought it was kind of interesting how some of the other games like Castlevania, Bloodlines, to me, seemed a little bit more treasury. Even though that one would come out later, just with the bosses, because Treasure sometimes you could have a lot more like bosses in the game. And Bloodlines definitely had that feeling, where it was lots of like mini bosses as you went through the level, and the levels were a bit shorter. But it was another one of those companies that, when you think about it, looking back now, how it was so attached to Konami in a sense, how they all worked there, and it kind of fell along the lines of, how we said at the beginning of how those were companies, Capcom, Konami. You were guaranteed back then to get a game, and, same way kind of fell into Treasure. It just all kind of makes sense.
Exactly. Now, before we close the Treasure talk, I want to ask you, James, this is kind of like a normal thing in our show the last couple of episodes. I'm going to ask you if you could recommend one Treasure game to just a random guy in a game store. He's looking at games. He's, picking up random carts, and he's like, I don't know what I want to get today. If you could pick up one Treasure game and be like, get this, what game would that be?
I gotta go with Astro Boy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just one I love so much, and it's one I do recommend to people. Like when I mention GBA games, top games to check out, it's so fun. There's a lot going on. I've said before, the treasure games, there might be a lot of stuff flying at you, lots of, bullets, enemies, but somehow it's never overwhelming, and they give you the tools to take care of it. It might take you a minute to figure out, what button does what to get the pattern down, but once you do, it's just more natural, and it's fun. Astro Boy has that classic, like I said, Mega Man feeling that just, you just know it's good. It's just tight, and and it's fun, and it's not as hard as Mega Man, and it's got, replayability, going back through levels, just all the different, like I said, the butt cannons, and, that little dude's just got all kinds of crazy weapons, and it's just, it's so fun, and it's been a very memorable title, for me, for the GBA, and one that I remember not paying a whole lot for, and, buying it, and it's like, man, this sounds corny, but it's just so awesome. And it's one of those ones, it was a little bit kind of like in their midway. They're still going, but it was kind of past the 16-bit era. But, like we said, a lot of the GBA games kind of felt like full games. Some say like portable Super NES games. And
yeah.
That one just kind of fits along that line. It's fucking great,
Yeah, my game I would recommend, of course, is Gunstar Heroes. I mean, I played that recently, a couple of days ago, actually, and I was just playing it. I'm like, man, this is just such a great Sega Genesis game. It's hard. It's not too hard though. I don't think it's as hard as like Super C, or not Super C, but Contra 3. It's not as hard as Contra 3, but it's a lot of fun. I really like the soundtrack. I like the fact that you could pick what stage you want to go to, kind of like Mega Man.
It's got 2 players also.
Yeah, it's got 2 players. So, I mean, it'd be a great game for couch co-op. That would be one I would definitely recommend. And I'll say it this way. I know it's going up in value for the Sega Genesis, but if you can get a reproduction cart like I did, or you can play it on emulation, or just buy it on PSN, do it that way, or Xbox. Definitely get it. But before we close the show, we're going to close off with games we've been playing recently, and a little surprise from James as well. I want to start with that first. James, you have something you wanted to open and tell us about.
Oh, I do. I'd actually managed to kind of forget about that till you said something. I got a box here from my brother with some I'd mentioned before about some of the PS4 games that I already had before I had the system, because he had gotten me a few. And we're doing I've done them before, the podcast unboxing, as exciting as it can get. I do have this really cool here. See, you'll appreciate this, Xander, because this is stuff like I send to you. I have this big bag of candy, because I always tend to send you food when I send one. But this
you do.
Is lots of Japanese candy. 'Cause my brother had a Japanese exchange student stay with them last year, and he still keeps in contact with them, and he kind of like his, I joked, I was like, man, you just did that, so you have a hookup in Japan to get like games and stuff, and he definitely does keep in touch with them, and he does, if there's something he wants, is the Kota is exchange student, get it to him and he'll pay him for it. So I have this bag of Japanese candy, which looks pretty cool. Let's see, I have a Famicom game in here, Xevious.
Nice.
I have Conception 2 for the PS Vita. I have a Konami game right here.
Oh, nice.
Jack Nicklaus. Great championship courses. Let's see, I have an N64 adapter for something that I forgot what it was. Memory cards. Japanese Yoshi on 64.
Oh, nice.
More Japanese candy. Not sure what that is, because I can't read Japanese.
Everyone's closing their eyes and picturing what you're looking at right now.
Yeah. I got BioShock 1, 2, and Infinite on 360.
Nice.
I've played the first BioShock, but that's about the only one.
Oh, you'll love BioShock 2. Infinite was okay, but BioShock 2 was just amazing. I really like that one.
Got a couple of Saturn games. These are ones that I had given to him that had the original case and instructions, and these were some with some cases that he had made. So I just got those back. Now here, okay, I'm down to the PS4 games. I got Until Dawn. I got Assassin's Creed Unity. A couple of these he threw me. Oh God, damn it! I just saw the joke when he put it. I got NBK 2K14, which I don't mind.
Dude, the 2K games are actually pretty fun. You play the story mode, you'll love it.
Yeah, I'm down for like a good sports game. I got the Batman Arkham Knight, and oh God damn it, this is so horrible. Duck Dynasty. God damn it. He was like, I can't wait to see your face. No. Like, wish I could see your face if you guys did on video when you see it. And it's like, it popped up under I got thrown off. Like, I wasn't disappointed with the NBA. It was the Duck Dynasty. Hunt, race, and prank to become a Robertson. John, Willie, Uncle C, Jace, and the rest of the family. This is horrible. Sneak around the warehouse to trick Willie? That doesn't even sound right. Oh, God. Well, all right. That's it.
Yeah, I do want you to check it out for the next episode. So when we get into games we've been playing recently, so I was playing Duck Dynasty.
Oh, that's brutal, man. I wasn't even expecting that at all. Like, I knew there was a joke went in there, but that's harsh.
All right, well, let's get into games you've been playing recently.
I'm sorry, I'm just a little thrown off.
Because, I mean, I'll tell you right now, I haven't played that much this week. I've been so busy. I will mention some games I picked up, though. And maybe you do this too, James. I went to Burlington last weekend with my girlfriend, and she went shopping. That's the whole reason why I went to Burlington. We went to Apex to visit her family, and we went to Burlington, which was like an hour away. And she's going shopping, and while she's shopping, I step outside and I go on my phone. I put in video game stores because I've never been to Burlington. I'm like, maybe I'll find some video game store, and I did. I found on Front Street, downtown Burlington, this store called Game Over, and I know there's so many game stores called Game Over, but I was like, okay, I'll check this out. And I was saying in my head, I'm like, you know what? Because my real estate of my game room is shrinking. I'm getting to the point where there's a lot of games I can't get anymore. Special editions, I've kind of become very selective on what kind of special editions I get because I don't have room for statues and big boxes. So I was like, when I go to this place, if I see NES games, I'm probably not going to get them. Sega Genesis, nah. The stuff I was mainly focusing on is maybe like Sega Master System or Neo Geo Pocket Color, and I knew that was going to be like, I was like, I know they won't have Neo Geo Pocket Color. I kid you not, dude. I went in there and they had 4 Neo Geo Pocket Color games, and I had to buy all 4 of them. I bought Pac-Man, Neo Turf Masters, Bubble Bobble Mini, and Sonic the Hedgehog Pocket Adventures. I believe that's what's called, the Neo Geo. And I was like, yeah, I got to get these because you don't see Neo Geo Pocket Color games that often. It's like if I see that or Sega Master System games, I automatically buy them.
The last time I remember seeing those was when Rhino Games was still around, and they were selling like the little sets. You get like the pack of like the 3 games, and you could get the pocket and the kind of like little hard bubble wrap things. And I wish I had gotten one then. And didn't you say, did they have the system there too?
They did. They had it was a light blue Neo Geo, and I thought it looked really nice. And I have one, but it's a black one, and I was like, man, I mean, if I had the extra money, I would have picked it up as well, just because it was like sky blue Neo Geo Pocket Color. It looked really nice.
Yeah, it's just a cool one. That's one I just always love the handhelds. It's one I wouldn't mind getting eventually. But it is just such a really cool random thing in a random place to find. That just goes to show it never hurts to look up. Wherever you might end up being, you might have to go somewhere, you're just on a trip, in between stopping at a gas station on a trip, or just going somewhere you don't want to have to go, and you never know what might be nearby to check out.
Exactly. All right. So what have you been playing, James? Now that the Duck Dynasty's kind of got over you a little
I have
bit.
not been playing Duck Dynasty lately.
Not yet.
I no, not yet. I was playing, a couple of the treasure games, and there was one I gotten, like I was mentioning earlier, I got confused with the Alien Soldier and Alien Storm, and so actually, I played a little bit of both of those. I played some Alien Storm too, and that was the one I realized that I had been playing. But I played a little bit of this one game called Death Duel on the Genesis. I was just flipping around through some
I had
random
that game. I
games.
haven't played it though, but I have that.
It's interesting. I'm assuming maybe you're a monster too, but your first fight is a dragon, and it's kind of like dodgeball. You have three different weapons. One goes straight, one kind of goes to the left angle, one at a right angle, and the enemy can hide behind walls, which you can attack and blow up. And I shot like a cannonball at him and blew off one of his wings, and it's got some blood. And I ended up dying more than anything else, but it's one I've played like quite a few times. It's just one that I always end up playing. I think it's just that name, like Death Duel. I don't remember what this is, and it's like, oh yeah, it's this. But I like that game, so I keep playing it. I moved my Wii upstairs and had it downstairs for the longest time for like Netflix for my wife, but with the Roku, we have that, so I ended up moving it up. So I was wanting to play a few more GameCube games, and I've been playing the Resident Evil on there, the remake, and I have both the Def Jam games on there, the Fight for New York and Def Jam Vendetta. Which Def Jam Vendetta, of course, is one of the last AKI wrestling games that came out. Just amazing, and it's kind of, it's got all the bling and get your wardrobe proper and everything like that, which to me this is kind of funny. I kind of like it being on there. It's silly. You get all the rappers, Method Man, Redman, DMX. It's got a pretty good soundtrack, if you're into like rap music at all, because all those guys on there did the music. Just really fun. The first one's more wrestling, second one's a little bit more fighting and weapon based, but still both are really enjoyable games. And been watching some of that '70s show. That's one of those shows just always enjoyed. And just bored sitting around, and I said, I'm gonna watch that. And I've been drinking some soda lately. Might have mentioned before, we had this like candy and soda shop here in town called Rocket Fizz, and they sell ginger ale that I like a lot. It's a hot one. It's kind of spicy, but I've been getting some other drinks from the Food Lion down the street from me. It had this one company called Boylan, and they have ginger ale and root beer. And man, I don't know, it's just been really good. I've just been really into ginger ale lately. I bought one brand called Stubborn. It's a newer one. It's a root beer, and it sucks. And I was not a fan. And they had a cola, because I've been enjoying a good cola recently, and I thought it was the same brand, but it's not. It's a brand called Caleb's Cola, and it tastes a lot to me like those Pepsi, the 1892 or 1893.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they taste a lot like that. It's almost kind of like a mixture of Coke and Pepsi. It's got actual sugar in it, and it's got like cola nut and all this crazy stuff, but just really good. So, been on a soda kick, and I guess I'm gonna be eating some Japanese candy pretty soon too. I'd had some green tea Kit Kats.
Oh, those are so good.
Yeah, those are really, really good. It's kind of an odd thing, but just a really good thing. So I'll be enjoying some Japanese candy and jumping on some Duck Dynasty before too long. I tell you,
You'll need that
PS4
soda.
now.
You'll need all the soda and sugar just to keep yourself going through that interesting journey. Oh gosh, I was about to say, are they the ones that say "get her done"? That's the cable guy, though.
Yeah, that's the
cable guy. Jeez. But yeah, guys, this concludes another episode of XS Gaming Podcast. I do want to say before closing this episode, because we are recording this on the 10th of November. Tomorrow is Veterans Day, so I do want to say a big thank you to our brothers and sisters in the service for, helping us as the country and, fighting and, keeping us having our freedom and stuff like that. Just little things. If you guys see a veteran, just tell them thank you, big smile. You'd be surprised how much that goes, and I definitely wanted to mention that. And as always, guys, thanks for listening, and as always, happy gaming.
Have a pleasant evening, everybody.
Can't get enough of XS Gaming Podcast? Be sure to check out our audio podcast on Podomatic.com. You can also subscribe to us on iTunes. And if you have a YouTube channel or podcast you'd like to share, be sure to check us out on Facebook on our group page and join the community. As always, guys, thank you so much for all the support and happy gaming.